I am tired of this. It's 2021. I shouldn't have to wait 5 minutes for Living with the Land. That's just too long. I'm sick and tired of having to be patient to ride things anymore. It's been 50 years and the longest wait time is always Peter Pan's flight. 80 minutes is absurd for a little overhead dark ride. Why? With that time, I could wait in line for Space Mountain, or wait in line for Mine Train, or wait in line for Journey into Imagination of all things. You gotta be kidding me! Alright, I'm sorry. Perhaps I've gone a bit overboard. It's just really hard for me to justify waiting that long. There has got to be a way that I can skip the lines to my favorite rides. Oh. Do you have kids who can't go 3 minutes without some sort of distraction? Are you fast enough to book it to the entrance of a ride the second the park opens? Do you want something else to whine about at Disney? Well, try FastPass. It's fast. On a good day. Disney's FastPass was a service at select Disney resorts that would allow you to skip the lines at your favorite rides. It's as simple as walking up to the ride entrance, but instead of waiting in line, you can get a sheet of paper with a return time. Then, later in the day, you can head back, enter a shorter queue, and then you're on the ride in record time. And do you want to know the best part? Well, it's free! When FastPass debuted, it was the best way to skip long waits at the Disney parks. Or, at least, it used to be. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We can't just skip the backstory. What is this, the American education system? So let's throw this FastPass in the garbage and talk about just how all of this originated. FastPass as a service originally debuted in 1999. Epcot's Millennium Celebration was well underway with the upcoming launch of Test Track. Animal Kingdom was nearly a year old, and Sounds Dangerous, starring Drew Carey, had just opened. Now, what do all these things have in common? Capitalism! Well, that too, but they were also all in high demand. Well, maybe not all of them, but still, wait times were getting stacked for all these rides and experiences across the resort. It makes sense. You can't just walk into Epcot in 1999 and not ride Test Track. It was a rite of passage. But the problem was these rides had hour waits each, and that's a huge chunk of your day, especially back when the parks were not open for nearly as long as they are now. I'm certain that people were skipping these rides because they'd take one look at the wait time sign and say, no thank you, I have other plans than just meeting a person in a mascot suit. And this was a pretty big deal. I mean, if you only visited this place once every few years, you'd want to do everything too. But that just wasn't an option because all these rides had such long wait times that it wasn't feasible. Now, enter Disney, a company that prides itself on customer satisfaction. They had heard the cries and decided to introduce a solution. So they came up with a marathon. FastPass as a service was nearly perfect. Everyone loved the opportunity to skip that extra long 15-minute wait at Mission Space, but it came with a downside. After all, someone had to get the FastPasses. Back when FastPass opened, in order to skip the line, you had to go to each ride's entrance, scan your park ticket, and only then would it give you a FastPass. And even then, you might get a time later in the day if you're not fast enough, which meant that at park opening, there would be a whole rush of people booking it to Dinosaur just so they could get a decent return time. On top of that, you also had everyone else gunning for that same thing, and so FastPass quickly turned into a crazy mad morning dash. And all for what? Dumbo? I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. The truth is, despite the downsides of natural selection, FastPass was a great service. It kept normal wait times down and gave you something to look forward to in the day. It's a bit easier to wait in line for something now because, well, with that FastPass, you know you'll get to ride Tower, which isn't always a guarantee. So, for 14 years, FastPass would remain as the most efficient and quickest way to ride all of the big thrills in the resort and also Peter Pan's flight. Until 2013. It was the end of FastPass and the start of Addition. Disney had enough of these little slivers of paper and decided to end the original program using their newest technology, plastic. These little wristbands that Disney coined Magic Bands were all the rage in the early 10s. You could enter a resort room with them, buy things with them, enter the parks with them, buy more things with them, get your food order, buy more things. They were great! You didn't need your credit card or phone on you at all times, as this Magic Band would suffice for most of the experiences at the resort. Around the time that these Magic Bands were announced, some people in the community expressed concern that they may be part of a plan to phase out the original FastPass system. And their fears came true on January 7th, 2013, when FastPass Plus was officially announced. FastPass Plus was like FastPass, but with a twist. Or, more accurately, with a plus. Instead of running to the ride entrance at the start of the day, you had to wake up 30 or 60 days before your trip at 6 a.m. to nab those sweet virtual tickets on the Disney World website. Everything was digital now. After all, it was the 2010s. Disney's new My Disney Experience app and software were designed to automate a lot of the processes for the theme parks, and FastPass was one of them. At the time, FastPass Plus seemed like a downstep, especially for locals like me who just liked the old system better. But you had to admit, it improved on a lot of the original FastPass. For starters, it leveled the playing field. You no longer had to be the fastest runner, you just had to wake up at a decent time. And even if you didn't, chances are that you'd be able to get some pretty good FastPasses. It also allowed those who were visiting the resort for their vacation from across the world to get a decent chance. After all, since Walt Disney World is the 8th wonder of the world... Oh, my bad, the ninth wonder of the world. Plenty of people would visit it every year who may not be too familiar with FastPass. The new system ensured that they could ride some of the bigger rides, because not everyone has the luxury of living near the resort. Admittedly though, there were some downsides. Gone were the days of getting as many FastPasses as possible. Now, you could only get 3 for the whole day. They did update the system later on to allow you to reserve more in the park after those first 3 were used up, but at that point you were choosing between Winnie the Pooh or Little Mermaid, and both of them had 10-minute waits. I mean, what else are you gonna do with those 10 minutes? Go ride the Barnstormer again? Yeah! Although, anytime a new ride was opening, it would be impossible to get fast passes for it for at least the first year or two. Or, if the ride was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you would never get fast passes. It's been like 7 years since that ride opened, and it's still impossible to get fast passes for it today. I don't get it. Also, you had to have a computer, or a phone, or any kind of device to actually reserve these things in the first place. So if you showed up in the morning to the Magic Kingdom without any planning to get a ticket to Space Mountain or Pirates of the Caribbean, you're gonna get times that are either right next to the park closing time, or they'll just all be gone. A bit unfortunate, but everyone and their mothers have phones nowadays, so I'm not sure if that's really a problem. Now, what if you're just sick of having to reserve every ride individually and being limited to only 3 at a time? Well, Universal's got quite the solution for you. More capitalism! Express Pass is Universal's skip the line system that allows you to skip the line at every ride in the park. You just have to be willing to give up some money first. What? Not my money! I need that for food, travel, tickets, photo packages, hotel rooms, character buffets, special beverages, souvenirs, tours. When you go to a theme park, even for one day, you're spending quite a lot of money on food and other potential expenses. So what would convince me to buy an Express Pass for even more money? I mean, the lines can't be that long, right? I will say, Express Pass is at least nice about not charging per ride though. It's a flat fee that you can pay for quick access to everything, either once or as many times as you'd like depending on what tier you get. This method of charging for everything at once with a flat rate seems to be the norm for most theme parks nowadays, as SeaWorld has this in the form of their Quick Queue service as well. And there are plenty of other similar parks across the United States with similar systems. It's a nice option, but in my experience, the lines at Universal are much more bearable and move quicker than the ones at Disney, so I'm not bothered by having to wait in line for Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, as long as it doesn't break down every 5 minutes. Overall, Express Pass is a pretty good service, and it's definitely considerably better than charging individually for each ride per person, because that totally seems like a stunt that their parent company Comcast would pull. Or better yet, maybe Disney. But they've already got FastPass, so what are they gonna do? Get rid of it and switch to a new charged system? That would be ridiculous.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Anyway, back over at Disneyland, FastPass is still alive and well. It's basically been the same way it has been for a decade now, and while Walt Disney World has switched over to FastPass Plus, Disneyland hasn't for some reason. But wait, they kind of did, but also not really, but also kind of. Look, it's hard to explain, just watch this.
A day at the Disneyland Resort is unlike any other, and now guests have an exciting new tool to manage the magic in their day. First, you need your trusty smartphone and the Disneyland app.
So it's FastPass Plus?
Next, it's time to reserve a FastPass return time. Tap the Get FastPass button.
So it's FastPass Plus.
Once your tickets are added, you'll be invited to purchase Disney Max Pass.
Oh, no. It's not FastPass Plus.
It's so much worse!
Disneyland's Max Pass is an alternative service to FastPass at the resort. It didn't replace FastPass, as you can still walk up and get FastPasses like before, but if you're too lazy, you can instead pay per guest in your party and get to reserve those FastPasses from anywhere in the resort. As long as you're willing to give up some more of your hard-earned money, of course. What? Not my money? I need that for food, travel, tickets, photo packages, hotel. So from what I've gathered, MaxPass is essentially making you pay for something that everyone should have access to for free. So it's essentially Disney. I'm surprised Walt Disney World hasn't started charging for FastPass Plus if they're charging for the same thing cross-country. But wait, MaxPass also comes with free photo downloads taken at the parks! Oh man, that's so convenient! 1 second, I'm gonna buy MaxPass right now with my phone that comes with the camera on it already, because that's more convenient than just, using my phone camera! Just a quick little side tangent. Does anyone even ever pay for photo packages at the theme parks anymore? I get why you'd pay for photos on rides, of course, but for ones like this, just use your phone already. I understand that professionally hired photographers at the parks can do some really cool shots at character greetings and sometimes at the castle, and those are honestly pretty neat, but for most of the experiences at the parks, it's probably just better to use your phone. That's an opinion that people will get mad at me about, so before you raise your pitchforks, I'm gonna change topics to FlashPass. What's FlashPass? No, seriously, what is FlashPass? I have no idea. After doing some research, I've come to realize that FlashPass is Six Flags Skip the Line service, but there are actually multiple different tiers of FlashPass. The first one is basically a virtual queue, the second one is like an actual FastPass, and the third one is like Universal's Express Pass system, but you only get to skip the line 2 times on each ride. I've never gotten the opportunity to go to a Six Flags park, and yes, I know that means my opinion doesn't matter, but it also means I have no idea if any of these are actually worth it. I don't even see the worth in the first tier at all, and for $45 per person with that, it seems nonsensical to get it when I could just wait in line for free. Sure, I guess tier 1 allows you to wait in line for 2 things at once, one physical and one virtual, but is that really worth $45 of your hard-earned cash? After all, I need that for food, travel, tickets, photo pack. So, if we can learn anything about the theme park industry through their skip-the-line style services, it's that most of them won't hesitate to make money through impatience and sometimes just like to cause confusion for absolutely no reason. From what I've seen across most major theme park resorts, the Disney resorts seem to be the only parks owned by a major company that doesn't technically charge for fast passes, and that's good. It's nice to not have to wait for Pinocchio's Daring Journey every once in a while without any strings attached. Or should I say, it was. Yeah, the future of FastPass doesn't really bode too well at the moment, as evident by Disneyland Paris's recent decision to discontinue the FastPass service entirely and replace it with more capitalism. Disney's Premier Access, as it calls itself, is a new program now available in Disneyland Paris, just announced like 2 minutes ago. Now, what does Premier Access add to the table? Debt! It adds debt. Yep, you have to pay for it. I can't believe Disney would ever try and make money like this. A company trying to make a profit, they say that they love their fans, but then they need to pay their employees? Unacceptable. I can't believe this. Yeah, it's a paid service, and not in the good way like ExpressPass or Quick Queue either, because instead of a flat rate for everything, every ride must be paid for individually, on a per person, per ride basis. Foreshadowing!
And we can charge anything we want, $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day, and people will pay it.
The second this was announced, the entire theme park community went crazy, and I don't blame them. This feels less like, oh, we just wanted to offer it as an option, and more like they wanted another Scrooge McDuck-style money pool. And I'm sorry, but I just do not see how anyone could logically justify paying for that. And Disney probably thinks the same thing too, because Disneyland Paris also introduced another brand new service along with Premier Access, and this time, it's free! Ah yes, Disney, such a giving company. They totally love their fans, and that's why they do nice things like remove a free fan favorite service to replace it with a worst one. Standby Pass is FastPass Plus's nearly identical twin, but it's the one that's younger and everyone kind of forgets about. This service is basically a virtual queue system for Disneyland Paris, meaning you can go on a phone and select what rides you want to ride without having to wait in person, but you have even less choices over specific rides and return times. And from my limited knowledge, it seems to mostly just be a different name for the same service that they had before, just now available on a phone. Now, Standby Pass doesn't replace the normal standby lines. You can still wait in a physical line, of course. So why didn't they just call it Virtual Queue? Apparently, Shanghai Disneyland Resort also introduced both Premier Access and Standby Pass when that opened in 2016, and it seems like they're transferring the same services over to Paris now. Although, it's hard to know if Standby Pass will even be half as decent as FastPass before it, because it's now in direct competition with the paid Premier Access. Hey, quick hypothetical. A paying Premier Access guest and a freebie Standby Pass guest walk up to a ride. Guess which one will wait longer? Time will tell if this service makes its way over to the US parks and other regions, but if it does, well, it may be time to put FastPass to rest, which is, of course, a shame, but not really out of line with other financial decisions that Disney has made under the economic and capitalist leadership of the wise and otherworldly leadership of Bob Chapek. Well, after all is said and done, it seems Disney is ready to put FastPass and FastPass Plus behind them for their newer services that are similar to the rest of the industry. And honestly, I don't really blame them. There's potentially a large market that they've been missing out on, so it makes sense from a business perspective. I'll miss those days of planning out our FastPasses around the computer monitor and scheduling out our day. But I won't ever lose those memories of FastPass, and I'm grateful I had them, even if Disney is now willing to move on. Now, as for me... Wait. Move on? Move on? That sounds familiar. It sounds very what? I moved on! I did! I left it in my past! I thought I did. So why... What am I still doing here? Hello? Hello? Why am I here? What am I doing? Now, as for me, I sure am ready to move on. After all, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. That's why I bought this top-of-the-line Premier Access Pass. Now, granted, I don't live in Paris, but I feel they deserve my money anyway. After all, Treasure Planet only made $109 million at the box office, so they're basically bleeding for cash. Anyway, I can't wait to skip all the lines across the Disneyland Paris Resort. Just out of curiosity, I wonder what those wait times are. Oh, well, that's just one ride, and I mean, it's only...
Somewhere in a lonely hotel room, there's a guy starting to realize that eternal fate has turned its back on him. It's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. The fear is gone. It's 2 a.m. The gun's still warm.